left, and Tom.
Mike, I guess, at least in a broad strokes way, just what do you say to your team in the locker room at halftime to try and pull them back together, to try and kind of get them back on their feet after a half like that first 20 minutes?
Well, we got smacked the first half, and you got to give them credit. I thought they were more tougher. Yeah, there were a lot of fouls called, against us, but they set the tone. I thought we came out with good intentions. Back and forth, they're 8, 9, 10 points, and then we couldn't make shots. That was a big difference in the first half. And they made shots and got to the free throw line. And Edie had a lot to do with that.
Tom on your left and Mike Niz.
Like when you mentioned good intentions there, were you trying to play defensively that way and just sort of weren't allowed to, or
Well, again,
what's to describe that?
I can't sit here and complain about the officiating. It's what it is. We couldn't get to Edie quick enough. I thought the way they set him up versus how we played him last season, and again, Trace and Brace they're not here, and I got to get my two big guys a little more tougher. That'll help, and I didn't think Ware played tough enough, and Edie kind of had his way, so we got to work on that. Work in progress.
Mike on your left and Trevor.
Yeah, Mike, you're not to kind of talk about the officials, but in terms of navigating the foul trouble, how tough was that when you had, Mbago and then Ware, but then Cups as well? I mean, was that difficult for you to kind of try to figure out how you want to approach as they stacked up like that?
Well, again, it's kind of like the next man up, and I probably should have played not Ware, but Mac a little bit more, even with the 2 fouls, but I elected not to do that. But that's hindsight. I hate coaching that way, thinking back to what I should have done. But at the end of the day, they played extremely well the first half. I thought we came out with big time energy the second half to cut it to 9, but when you dig a hole like that, against a pretty good team, hard to dig your way out.
Trevor on your right and Rick.
You said you thought about, or you should have brought McKenzie back a little bit earlier. He sat for 12 minutes. When did you start to think about bringing him back into the game, since he was one of the only ones making shots early?
Well, again, it's a long game, but we fell back so quickly. I figured I brought him back, I think, around the 2-3 minute mark, right before the half. And when I think back to it, I probably should have brought him back a lot sooner, but I didn't.
Rick on your right and Mike.
Over here, Mike. Seeing Edie over the last 3 years, where's his biggest point of improvement this season?
I think the fact that he's, his angles that, from a defensive standpoint, you can't give him. He's getting the angles to the point, and the ball is, the last 4 times we played him, I thought our pressure on the ball helped us. Whoever caught it, we had really intense pressure to the point where they just couldn't make pinpoint passes. And once it goes from the angle or top down to the big fella, it's tough to get help there quick enough. And I think Ware could have done a better job at battling, but he didn't. And it's something to learn from. The beauty about this, we got to still go to Purdue and see him again. So maybe we can regroup and see what happens when we get there.
Mike on your right and Mason.
Coach, the way you guys played at the start of the second half, do you feel like that's something that's repeatable, or is that, you guys just maybe taking more risks, more chances because of the situation?
Well, again, you like to think that I thought we came out ready to play. I think the fouls kind of slowed us down a little bit. But, again, I don't call the game. You got to try to overcome it. But we didn't. We fell in the hole, and it was tough digging out.
Mason in front, last one.
Coach, you kind of mentioned falling into a hole there offensively. When offense goes stagnant like that, is there something that you're seeing that isn't happening versus when the ball is going in the basket?
Well, I thought the first half we got some good looks. I came in and we charted. There were about 7, 8 wide open shots that we didn't make. And, those are empty possessions that you leave on the table, and you come down and either we fouled or They scored. I mean, it wasn't a good combination for us the way we were playing. And, so we gotta move forward and get ready for Wisconsin now and see where we go from here.
All right, thanks, Coach.